that is of recent that was a situation where there was no family local and a family friend that reached out and said, this person needs help. And that was super interesting and meaningful because, there are people in real estate that would say, why would you go to the lengths that you did to clear that entire house? And why would you go to the lengths that you did to make decisions on his behalf? And it all came back to, we never made a decision without him okaying it. He trusted us after meeting us one time because he knew the kind of people that we were, just based on the referral. And because I would hope that in the same situation, someone would do that for my mother. So literally for 90 days, we've been working on getting this house
preparing
cleared.
a house.
And we were under contract the first day. And when you can go back to somebody and say, we have an offer on the first day, I don't know, it's exhilarating. And there's a whole process, that whole second phase of negotiating happens in the inspection period that I think just communicating. I think there are so many realtors who forget to communicate with what we call co-op agents. So if we're the seller agent, they're the buyer agent. They just forget. So I think Tony in the negotiation stuff is so good at communicating. Here's what's most important to the seller. And we're asking those tough questions when we're making offers. What's most important to the seller? So that the goal is the same. It's to get to the closing table so that, your buyer feels like they got a great price and your seller feels like they sold for a great price. And I know I'm a little off track here, but there's so many meaningful ones.
Well, true. And I credit the meaningfulness to a lot to do with you and your personality, because when we work with people, it's not just, as Angie likes to say, I'm a transactional person. She's a person. So when we work with people, it's not just a home to get it sold or a home to put under contract. It's that relationship that is from the get-go.
And we want the hard ones.
And hopefully long-term, those relationships.
I don't want we'll take an easy one. Easy being very little, they're ready to put their house on the market. It's immaculate, like my buddy from college. Sign in the yard, beautiful. But even the one that we had on the market for the longest period of time.
Or back to, a client who moved here sight unseen. Angie helped her. Went under contract with it. She'd never seen the house, and then Angie, it was her first listing on her own. Did the whole process with this woman, and we're talking a $50,000 house.
And you treat the 50s exactly like you treat the 800,000s.
Yeah.
We do. I mean, that was exhilarating.
Yeah. So.
And I think in this business too. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you. In this business. When I came on board with Tony, I thought this business was a whole bunch of black and white, which I knew was going to be a hard thing for me because it's not how I operate it's just not. And it's not a whole bunch of black and white. There are realtors who are working in the black and white, and there are realtors who are working in the gray and getting creative in making things work. And that's like the stuff that we learn every single day, or learning from other realtors in this office, like, how would you handle this? And, I love that. I love the ones that are not easy because they make us stretch. We had a house that was on the market that sold for much less than we priced it at. And that was the one that I grew the most with because we had to do these market updates every other week. And it was in a segment, because it was luxury, they don't sell fast. Me coming in, I want them all to sell as fast as the other, but they just don't. And so learning through that and having those, what I thought was going to be a painful conversation with a seller who was so delightful and who was a friend prior, who has remained a friend. He's so delightful. It was just, communicating, and it took some time. And I don't know. I like the hard ones.
So it's not just one. No,
Yeah.
one transaction is not the one that we remember most. They're all unique and special in their own way.
What you folks gets fun is we talk about houses not by address, but by what happened when we're showing. So we still talk about the house that had what we thought was a monkey or orangutan in it. We were standing outside this house with clients, and we could hear this noise inside, and we are like, there has got to be a huge monkey inside that house. It was the most obnoxious, and we were a little bit like timid but kind of excited to figure out the mystery. And it turned out to be this bird that was talking and squawking, and it was completely crazy. But that was a fun one.
Okay, so yes, there's multiple